we don't have choices in front of us. It's already
Yeah.
decided. So it seems you're choosing something now, but it's already decided. That's not your choice. So that's not your free will.
Wait. So you're saying that everything that's happening is happening the way it was written? Welcome back, everyone. Today, I had the most interesting topic that I wanted to speak with AG and with everyone else. And that's on the topic of, does anything you do, is it actually decided by you? In other words, do we have free will? Can we exercise our free will? AG, I know we've talked about this before, and the
Mhm.
topic always is we find new things to talk about when thinking and talking about free will. Now, based on everything that you have read, what you know, and what you personally believe, do you think we have free will? And do we affect other people with our free will?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, unfortunately, we don't have free will in this realm.
Oh no.
Yeah, but we have free will to create the reality or change the course of the reality. Yeah, but we can't change what's happened here or what's happening here, or also we can't change other people the action or mind. Yeah. So that's very complex topic, but basically we have at least one free will. Yeah. How do
Mhm.
how do you think about it, Abby?
Um, Free will. Uh, it's hard to think about
Mhm,
what my thoughts are because we've talked
mhm,
about it so much that I understand your point of view, and I
mhm.
start to think, is that my point of view as well? But
Yeah, I
anyways,
I think I think our our conception of free will are a little different, mine and
mhm,
yours. So I want to
yes.
hear about your definition of free will first.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
way I would define my personal thoughts on free will are you have the choice as a sovereign being, as a sovereign
Mhm.
s- soul or person, whatever you believe, to make choices, any choices. Now, it's my belief that these choices that you make in life at the core are neither good nor bad. They're just simply neutral. But we as people might take them as good choices or bad choices when we exercise our free will. Um, but I think the world doesn't really care. Um, I guess at the bottom line is like the world doesn't care. The world will always continue to balance itself out, right? So everybody's always making choices. Everyone's always doing what they want to do. Sometimes they clash, sometimes they are very harmonious and they work really well together. But I think, and I've always thought that people have free will to a degree. I also think, depending on your personality, your character, your traits, you might be more prone to make certain choices. In that case, you might not have as much free will as you want. Or making the right choices for yourself might be a lot harder for you depending on who you are, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that's a very normal way of free will.
Mhm,
Yeah. That's the majority, I think.
mhm,
But for me, we don't have choices in front of us. It's already
yeah.
decided. So it seems you're choosing something now, but it's already decided. That's not your choice. So that's not your free will.
Wait. So you're saying that everything that's happening is happening the way it was written?
Yeah. So for example, there is there are options A and B. So
Yeah.
you're thinking which you choose, and then you pick up A, and then
Mhm.
you feel you chose the result, but actually that result is already decided before it's happening.
You reminded me of a scene in The Matrix. Do you know
Hmm.
which scene I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
Where the Oracle tells Neo, "You're not here to know, or you're
hmm,
here to understand why you chose what you did," or something like
yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
Not whether or not you're going to choose it. You're here to understand why you're choosing this
hmm,
at the end of the day. But
yeah.
that's so interesting. Did you always have this concept of free will, or has it changed?
Uh, I changed recently,
Okay.
or maybe yeah, like the recent 3 years or yeah 5 years.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
because I had the same concept of free will as yours before, but now I don't think it's entirely correct. So choosing something in this realm or plane is not our choice, not our free will. Yeah, it's already decided. But our free will is how to perceive the reality, the result in front of you. Yeah. So something happened. So
I
how do
see.
you take that result, or how good, how bad you take that from that result? Yeah.
Let me ask you this,
Mm,
based on your definition of free will,
mhm.
do we choose our reactions to the things that happen, or we don't choose those
I don't
reactions?
think so, because every reflective action or mind or emotion are uh, already decided. So you feel something or you have some emotion that's already decided by the reality or creator. Yeah. But after that,
Yeah,
you find some advantage from that result. That's
yeah.
your free will. Yeah.
Oh,
You reflect the result into the future frame.
so our
Mm.
our reflection of the
Yeah,
situation
yeah,
where we can
yeah.
choose
That
this is positive or this is negative for me.
yeah, and then that changes your vibration. Yeah,
Mhm.
because emotions nearly equals vibration. So
Huh.
that's how to create the reality in the right way.
But based on what you're saying, there's only certain amounts of realities we can create,
Yeah.
uh, that are, I guess, written for us, or we wrote them, or
Mm.
I don't know who
Mm-hmm.
wrote them. But we might have free will to choose. For example,
Mm-hmm.
say I spill my coffee, right? I have
Uh-huh.
certain ways I can choose to react, but these
Yeah.
reactions are already written, right? I can choose one of
Yeah.
them, but technically, um, it's written that I might scream, or I might not care, or
Yeah.
uh, want to change my shirt. These are
Mm-hmm.
all situations that
Mm-hmm.
are already written, right? I can't choose
Yeah.
outside of this.
I think so. Because it's already
Oh,
happening and the options are already manifested.
I see what you're saying. Now, this reality can be kind of scary for some people to think that
Mhm.
no choice they make really matters, right? Because
Yeah.
so
So
tell me a little bit about that.
that's yeah, that's very hard to accept. Yeah, first for many people. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost everyone first. Yeah. Even
But
for
you
me
know
too.
what?
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. But you know what? I think it also is
Mm.
very I can understand it because on the internet, if, for example, sometimes I will go on the internet and I will see somebody saying, "Oh, I used to do this as a child. I used to do this."
Mhm.
And then I think, "I used to think that and I used to do that too." So, humans might not be as different in the way that they respond or the way that they engage with the environment in this, I guess, 3D world.
Mm.
Uh, we tend to perceive things as human, all of us, because we're all
Mm.
here, right?
Yeah.
So we have our senses to touch, to smell, to hear, and to see. So using all of these senses that we have in our physical bodies here in this, I guess, 3D world, we look and perceive everything in a very similar way, right? So
Mhm.
we're limited to our physical body, as far as our perception and even I would say our capabilities,
Yeah.
intellectually, right? So
Mhm.
we might not be able to react in any other way because we have these limiting bodies, I think. So
Yeah.
free will might not be as free as we think or as
Mm.
broad as we think,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
So actually, yeah, our choices or the courses so limited, more than you
Mhm.
think. Yeah. Or even it's one way always. Yeah. But only
Mm.
if you get out of the autopilot, you can change the course. But you can't create the reality because it's the creator's job, not your job. So
Yeah.
you just can choose or direct the course.
Now, can my free will affect somebody else? Do you think?
I don't think so because, in my opinion, other people in your reality are also part of your manifestation. Yeah.
Mhm.
So of course they have their own souls, but their body or their appearance are manifestation in your reality. So you can't change what's happened here already.
Mm.
So yeah, so you have to perceive the other people as the image.
Okay. And so do they
If that
perceive
makes
me as
sense.
an image as well? Does that make
Yes,
sense?
yes, because they see you through their monitor. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
That's scary thought.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think so. But of course, we connect each other through our souls or spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's another story. So now we are talking about yeah, this dimension. So yeah.
Well, I would love to continue.
Mhm.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about, I guess, what we can do outside of this dimension. I think
Yeah.
if free will exists there,
Hmm.
I'm very curious to hear. Maybe you
Hmm.
can tell us a little bit more in the next episode.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Perfect. Well, great to see you,
Mm.
AG, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. See you next time.